Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. As dawn comes up over here, let's get to work and see what happened over the weekend in this project. Few things, just some minor things, but I thought it would be fun to play with some minor stuff rather than necessarily tearing everything apart, as we always seem to be doing. And if we run into our random crash this time, hopefully we have some tools to figure out at least where the crash is happening, or at least give us some information on why that's happening. So with that in hand, we will progress bravely onward and explore a couple of other things. So a few things that I built over the weekend or kind of put into place were a couple of different shaders and then an on-screen date system. So I think it's kind of important that the player knows where they are when they start jumping around in time. And also I've kind of been building a system that when you rebuild a building, that actually also triggers some time travel as well. It's convenient for setting a few things up, at least for this demo section. So I wanted to have some numbers appear in the corners to kind of give you an idea of when you were in time, while not being perfectly specific about when you are in time. So that's what we've got down here in the corners here, this side and other side bits of text. This side is the side we're talking about is a wormhole. That's the kind of in-game fiction about what's allowing us to time travel. Is we have a wormhole and we have two different sides that we can visit whenever we want, this side and the other side. The numbers on either of those are years before present, and that's a really wonderful, it's very specific, but it's also a very vague number, which is exactly what I want. So we're going to start out at 0 years before present, and then the present is whatever time it is in the universe at the start of the game, and then everything else happens before that time. So that's why we get a years before present, which is really nice because, again, if you do a little bit of math and you figure out some clues from the game, you can quite figure out when present is. But you will be at 0 years before present, potentially only once or twice in the entire game. And then the rest is jumping around all sorts of places. So mainly what this does is this shows that time has passed, and it also shows that where you're kind of jumping to, whether that's forward from the current side of the wormhole you're in or backwards. But it's never going to be like specific dates like 2021, and it is just years, it's not months and days. So that's kind of the system that's supposed to happen, and this isn't supposed to be on screen at all times. It only should be on screen when you time travel. I am considering, pardon me, oh goodness, had a good restful weekend, which means that getting up early this morning was a little bit of a chore. I am considering whether you can have a toggle that essentially you just press the key and reminds you what year you're in. But also, I think if you bring up the inventory, I should really have what year you're in displayed there. I don't think I have it yet, but I should have that. So that's what we have going on here. So we might see these numbers appearing and disappearing on screen from time to time as we play today. So that's a good thing. And in fact, I need to just jump into the code here just a little bit, just to make sure that our local area manager is now doing that as well. So it's got a launch countdown section, so that's great. That's what we need. At the end of this launch countdown, I also need to set some dates on Grand Central, I think. This is one of the problems, is how when we go backwards are we actually going to do the time travel. We could jump back to the time travel manager here and call setup time B. I'm just trying to think about what we do here. because this is where we launch build holes. So I hadn't kind of set this up at first, so you'll see when we go backwards, when we finish an area, we're not actually changing the date. It'll look like we're changing the date, but we're not actually changing the system date. The system being the game's system date. So I'm trying to figure out if there's something I can call that I've already got built in place to kind of change the date for us. So that's what I'm trying to do here. But what I'm trying to figure out is I could just call this setup time B function, and that would do it. That would change the dates, because this is where the date change happens. But is that really what I want to do? That's the big deal. Is that really where I want to change the date? Because we're also going to be changing the culling mask on a camera here. So I want to just make sure that I'm not going to jump a whole bunch of things. Yeah, I may create a whole other script just to set up the time. I gotta see when setup time B runs, so let's just jump through this a little bit. Ooh, setup time B runs all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we set up time B when we press the space key. Let's go back into our inventory manager, because that's actually where this whole thing usually gets launched from. It's actually from inside the inventory. So let's take a look at this. Noisy scroll wheel. It's one thing I don't like about this new trackball. Everything else seems pretty good right now, but that scroll wheel is noisy. Okay, I'm looking for a method here that's something about open portal or something like that. Clear inventory setup artifact, show page control, hide page control, show time travel controls. Very good. Open portal button press. This is the one I'm looking for right here. Okay, so here's what we want. So what I need to do is, right when I'm about to travel, I need to do these two steps. So let's go back to our local area manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the target date that we're going to travel to. We're going to broadcast setup time B, which will then launch this method here in time travel. Setup time B will scan through the entire hierarchy right now, which in the future it shouldn't do that. We'll have to fix that. But it'll scan through all of this. It will set the layering on everything. That's what this whole build holes call is right here. And it sets our current dates. That's very good. And then it's going to broadcast the launch countdown, which is with the area completion date. Oh, that's what we need. Area completion date set right there too. Okay. And it calls that over here on our countdown timer. The countdown runs backwards. And at the end of the countdown, it calls all of this. Everything gets faded out. The last thing we need to do is we need to push objects in that should be visible at this time. So we should call this toggle active end of the wormhole at the end of that countdown. Do we actually call that? This is what we're just trying to take a look in and see. Nope, not that script. Pardon me. This script. Not that script either. That script. Thank you. At the end of the countdown, it counts down to the end here. Yep, that's the actual counter moving. And at the end, yeah, so it doesn't call toggle wormhole. That's called when the portal finishes. Okay, what happens if I call toggle wormhole now? We're going to call a hide. Let me think about this. I may just want to do a subset of this method here and get rid of some of these bigger function calls, because we've already called the build holes function. So really all we need to do is call this stuff here. But I don't. Do I want to call dates change? I'm just trying to figure out. I just don't want to call hide portal or reveal portal. That's all. And this doesn't call that. So maybe we're okay. Toggle active end of wormhole. Yeah, maybe we should do that. Okay. So at the end of my countdown, the timer goes away. Okay, let's see what we can do here. I think this is probably playing with fire here. That's okay. Oh, what is this called? My portal behavior knows toggle active end of wormhole here. We'll just grab this whole call right here. Okay. I think this is going to monkey with all sorts of things, but we'll see what chaos I have just created here. Let all those things compile. This is the problem with this code, with this messaging system, is that I don't know who's calling what message at any time, and sometimes this whole kind of trace is hard to follow, but oh well. Onward for Baroque code. Okay, so I'm just testing this out. Okay, what's the other thing I tried this week? The other thing I tried is, let me see if I can find my testing cube here. I think it's living inside my camera. Dither test cube. Okay, so there's two things that are going on this test cube, which I'm kind of interested in. First thing you might be able to see if the resolution on the stream is good enough is that there's a very, very subtle normal map bumpy surface going on here. And it's just kind of a, well, I can say just a really subtle bumpy surface. So it's not just a smooth polygon surface like we get for everything here. There's a little bit of texture to it, but it's vertex colored. But then it's shaded with a normal map, and that's because I have a cool script on it, which is this one, ASE VC dist diff. So ASE stands for Amplify Shader Editor, because that's what I built this in, because I'm not very good at building shaders from code. I can do it a little bit, but not particularly well. Not a lot of practice there. So Amplify Shader Editor kind of does that. Well, it does it better than I could. And then VC stands for vertex colored, because that's where we're getting our main colors from actual vertex colors set on this object. It's just a cube. And then distance dither is distance dither. So this dithers based on distance from the camera. Right now, our dither distance is only 5 meters, which is a little bit crazy. So if we move this in and out, we can see, okay, we move really far away, move all the way down to, we can make it push through the world. But if we get within 5 meters, even a little bit farther away than that, things start to, there we go, things start to fade out with that good old-fashioned dither effect. So we can see that we've got some camera-based fading. You might notice that this effect happens most often it happens with foliage. In certain games, the camera, kind of in third-person games, the camera gets close to foliage, sometimes more solid bits of the environment, and it fades out. So we're doing a dithering here, which is not actually a real transparency. That's because real transparency has some other issues down the rendering road. This is just simply a cutout. I'm not too bothered by the dithering effect. I kind of like it, in fact. So you can see that by the time we get within a certain distance of the camera, and this is within 6-7 meters. Yeah, because we've got a 2-meter dither fall off. So the dither starts to kind of jump in 2 meters higher than whatever I've set my distance. This is what happens. So if I set it at 10, you'll see that this cube completely disappears. And if we go back, boop, there it is. Okay, so that's kind of two different visual effects that I'm testing on one shader here. And I'm testing whether, first of all, whether this kind of works, because I'd like to give some kind of visual relief to really big surfaces on the stone buildings mainly. And so I'm hoping that this little kind of normal mapped texture is great. So none of my geometry has UV coordinates set in the game, because I use the UV coordinate slot for other kind of effects work. And I'm trying to let all of my work be just done with vertex colors, because as I've said many times on stream, I don't like setting up UVs. And also I don't have any textures in the game, which is great, because that saves a little bit of resources for other things I might want to do. And I really like the flat shaded low poly look. That's just an aesthetic that I've chosen for this. I could have done it more realistically, but I really enjoyed this look. So, but these are too flat, but I can't UV map them. So I've done a triplanar UV mapping projection. We'll see if it looks any good on these. So I was just playing with this one new shader, just to see how that even worked on a cube object, and it's pretty fun. I think it looks pretty interesting. Now the thing will be, I want to see how much stretching happens on kind of, what do I want to say, broad diagonal faces, like on this buttress and stuff. So we might try to start setting that up there. I don't need this dither functionality on these. The dither functionality is really meant to replace the fade in, fade out for roofs, basically on buildings. So if you remember, we have this kind of system set up so that when a roof comes in place, automatically it stays in place for a few seconds and then it dithers out and then it disappears. And that's been very clunky, and it's also interfering with another system. So I thought, well, why don't we just do a camera-based fade, so that when you're far enough away, the roofs fade in fine, otherwise they're gone, but you do have a little transition. So that's what we've got. The camera-based dithering I took from somebody who had a nice tutorial on the web, and I cannot remember who it was. Thank you, and I'm sorry I don't remember who you were. Yeah, so what I need to do is I need to add this triplanar shading to my standard kind of shader that's everywhere. Well, I don't want to make it everywhere. I want to just put it on stone objects. I need to make a new material and a new shader, or duplicate one or something like that, because I don't want to have this material on my grass, for example. So that's one thing to try to do. That's going to be a bit of a chore. So I think we should work with the dithering, with the camera distance dithering on our roof objects next. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that's kind of where we're headed We may not get there this morning. But I just wanted to kind of experiment with some of these visual features. I know I probably shouldn't be doing this at this time because there's enough on this thing that's broken still, but I had to have a break from that. So that's where we're at. There we go. So let's create well, actually, I'm just going to go into this distance dither shader, and I'm just going to disconnect this triplanar node, and it'll just sit there quietly doing nothing. So here it is. So fortunately, there's a triplanar sampler already built into Amplify Shader Editor, and I think there's already a triplanar thing set up in Unity's shader graph as well. I'm not quite sure. I'm using Unity 2019.2, so I don't have shader graph. I'm just going to pop that off there, disconnect it. So we're just doing vertex color, and here's where we're doing the camera depth fade. Fortunately, we've got a camera depth fade node as well in Amplify Shader Editor, and we've got a dither node, which is great. All we need on the depth fade is just the fall off value, which pops into length here, and the dither distance from camera, which is this, which is our offset. They come in, they pop out this side, and they pop into the opacity mask. So that's all we have to do. The only other big thing to just remember is to set the render type as transparent cutout. So it's not really transparent. It's a cutout shader. What it means is it just passes a test somewhere in the fragment, maybe, I don't know, passes a test and says, is this particular pixel, does this fall through this kind of threshold? And if it's either on or off, that's basically the thing. That's all it does. So it's not particularly intensive on the rendering process. So yeah, so I'm going to leave this triplanar sampler here, just as a kind of bookmark for next time. And let's update the shader. Okay, put that away. So now you can see the cube doesn't have any of that triplanar sampling stuff on it, but if we move a little bit closer to the camera, it still dithers in and out by camera distance. So cool. That's what we need to do. I'm just going to put this cube away because we don't need that on. Now I'm going to try to put the material on our roof structure that's fading in and out. So that's way down here. There it is. Nope, it's not on the tower, it's in the parish church. And is it in the roof structures? Is it in the finishing details? I can't remember. Nave norm roof group. Yeah, and it has in its furniture behavior layer changes somewhere it's got a thing that says fade out. Somewhere it's going to fade out on build. There we go. Fade out on build. Do they all say that? No. So I'm going to get rid of the fade out on build on all of these. Very good. Really, it's only the trusses, the roof, and the gable that need my new material on them. So what this means is that when these come into being, when these come into existence, they're going to pop in really harshly because they're not, you'll see, and they may or they may not, it'll look funky. So there'll be some polish to do. ASEVC distance dither, that's the one we want. Yeah, so this will be pretty ugly if this works at all. Let's save it because who knows if we're going to run into an infinite loop when we run it. And also, as we kind of build on this, we're going to test two things. We're going to test the little timer HUD that appears. Okay. Let's get going. Do my kind of apparently 13 seconds for launching, as it loads everything into memory the first time. It backs up the whole system, and then it loads everything that needs to load into memory, and then it runs start, and then it runs, well, then it runs awake, and then it runs start, and then all the on disable and on disable, and then it finally runs your first frame of update. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen here. So here we go. Everybody's familiar with this routine. All right, and of course there's always a certain excitement that happens because maybe we will run into one of our show-stopping bugs. Then we won't get to test anything that we want to test today. So far we're okay. Go pick up that thing, because that gives us the option to build a 2-story tower instead of a 3-story tower. Very good. And we have a little bit of stuttering going on. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay, are you going to fade out now? Oh, you set incorrectly. Okay, so right at the end, things set weirdly. But we did get our countdown timer, which was pretty cool. There we go. Choose this, open portal, we might see those numbers again. Yep. Okay. And if we hit this new effect, pow. Okay. And we did see those dates change there, so, ooh, that's unusual. Okay, so let's see how far we get before we run into a nice big showstopper. Hey, it's doing the thing. So here's another bug, and I haven't figured this one out yet. I can't build any of these things, but then at one point, if we, oh, are we getting? No, we're not. I thought we were going to get into a showstopper here. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on. But at some point, I will just be able to start rebuilding. Yeah, I'm not sure what stopped all of this. This little bit hanging out is really interesting. I wonder why that's happened. Well, come on, you. Oh, yeah. This is gonna look weird. Okay. Ooh. I've got some problems going on. I was just hoping that. See, now it worked. I don't know why, and now we'll be able to rebuild the rest, and it'll be fine. So I don't know what's going on there, and again, this only happens sometimes, so that'll be another bug to hunt down. It's almost a showstopper. I just really like to get to the moment where everything on this is stable. Ooh. Oh, we got a showstopper. Look at that. Of course we would, because we're on stream. All right, well, let's see if we can figure out how to debug this. Okay, so this is exciting, right? We'll see. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to say attach to process. Click on this. Click on attach. Okay. And now we can see that we're paused, so we need to run one step. I think. Now we need to dig through this, I guess, to figure out where our problem is. I don't know. No, don't worry about that actually. Those are just where a couple of breakpoints are. What I need to see is the threads. Why are we not getting any threads here? Getting something happening. I want to see these threads, so come on. It's not happy. There's something causing trouble, but I would really like to be able to jump right into what's breaking it. Do I have to like open every running script? That would be terrible. It's not even letting us move forward now. It's still running. Well, like, it's not my infinite loop test. Where did that go? There it is. See, we're not getting anything in there. Grr. I really want to see my threads. That's what I want to see. I mean, I don't know if I have to have the script itself open that's causing trouble, so I don't know if I should just go through and open every single script. This is kind of irritating. I was hoping it would just jump straight to the problem. That's what I was hoping. I can't even get off pause now, but somewhere. Well, let's just run through them all. Well, let's get through the C's here and then close them all. Stop it. I've got to still figure out this this process of attaching and detaching. Because obviously it's not working. I would like it to just kind of jump straight to the script where we're having the problem, and it would show me the threads and everything would be cool, but that's not working. A bunch of these scripts aren't even in the scene, but let's get through the G's. Nope. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something to pop up in the threads here, like in our infinite loop test when we tried that out on Friday. Nothing. So what I'm trying to do is to find the infinite loop. That Unity's running in right now. We're not getting any of that anywhere, and I was hoping Visual Studio would just kind of, if the script isn't open, it would just jump into that anyway, and we could see all the threads, because that would be cool. But I can't see any of the threads. Well, I was afraid of this. I was afraid that this wasn't really going to be that great. This really wasn't going to help. Nothing. Oh well. Back to figuring out how to run this. Click, 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 click. Okay, let's open up the Grand Central, because that tends to be what I work on a lot, and the object placement RT. Those both seem to be the things I work with a lot. Well, shoot. That's too bad. I was hoping we would magically get bumped straight to the place where the problem was. But we're not. Which is a shame. Because wouldn't it be cool to see all that? Ooh. Ooh, that's not good. This is going to pop in, and then it's going to fail. Sigh. Okay. Well, let's kill Unity. Oh well, I thought I had a tool for figuring that stuff. Yeah, no kidding, it failed. So should we look this one up? I mean, I think that's going to tell us absolutely nothing, except that we know that Visual Studio is now also in the middle of a loop. Yay! So we'll kill that guy too. And when it dies, it says, oh no! Yeah, we're not going to restart Visual Studio at this time. In fact, Microsoft error reporting might go into a loop. It didn't. Okay. Well, back to the desktop here. Sigh. Oh well. I thought I had made some progress on that loop catcher, but I didn't. Oh well. Let's get it all fired back up again. We might get to the point where we can build a roof and see if we're dithering by distance. We might get that far. Okay. Well, indulge me for a moment. It's so difficult when you spend 3 weeks trying to find this thing that's stopping everything, and you think you get to a point where you know what's going on, and it still doesn't. Well, you not know what's going on, but you think you maybe have a way to figure out what's going on, and then it doesn't work. Indulge me for a minute. I have my infinite loop test running. It's going to give it a shot again, just to see if I can magically... Oh, wow. No, Visual Studio still running. See, it's right there. Ugh, systems. Okay. There we go. Yep, okay. Alright, counter's going up. Let's start our infinite loop. It's broken, yay! It is also highly improbable that there isn't an infinite loop happening and it's something else. So if I just hit this and hit attach. Okay, I'm seeing nothing happening. So if I hit my pause button, there, see, that's what I want. just double click the thread and it takes us straight to the point where the infinite loop is. It opens the script and everything. Oh, that's a shame. Let's kill Unity. Huh. So maybe I don't have an infinite loop happening. That's more troublesome. That's a lot more troublesome. That scares me. That really scares me, because I have no way of tracking this down. That's depressing. Oh well, we'll keep soldiering on. At some point I have to rebuild the whole project in Unity 2020 anyway. And maybe at that point, that's when I rebuild everything from the ground up. And maybe this loop goes away. I don't know. Deeply frustrating though. Okay, well, let's jump back into this and soldier on. Just gonna get Visual Studio running again. Solution loaded. I wish I had a solution to this. Okay. I'm not going to try to debug that counter issue. It's just I'm calling a function I don't need to call. So it's just my timing in my Baroque spaghetti code. So I'm not going to try to fix that problem. Instead, we're going to try to get past where we crashed last time. There's my little star. Okay. And of course, I never get this to crash on my laptop. Well, not the same way, at least. Okay, yeah, good. That's fading. Come on. Let's... There we go. Open the old portal. Wait for a really weird effect. Bang. There we go. That worked great. Oh, you stinker. Gosh darn it. Okay, so I don't know why that's happening, and I don't know why it suddenly starts there. See, now it's working. Ugh. Well, we're gonna get a showstopper. Build that one up, that guy up, that guy up. Alright, this is farther than we got last time. See, it's not a consistent error. Let's go here and here. All right, you roof. You should dither for me. Let's go up here. Let's go forward. Let's go down a little bit. Let me get close to this roof. Dither, dither, come on. Nope. Yeah, there's some dithering. All right, so obviously I need to adjust that dithering distance. I actually want the roof to fade away a little bit further from the camera, but that is kind of cool. That's kind of a neat effect. We're still not crashing yet, so let's go look at that dither distance thing. Let's go find that one. There we go. That's the one. Our dither distance is set to 10. Let's set it to 20. That's kind of cool. That's kind of a fun effect. Actually, that looks really neat. And then as you jump away, it comes back. I think I might actually set my dither distance to 30 though. Because I kind of want that completely off, and then I want it to kind of fade in. So we have a little bit more of a big view, but that's really cool actually. I like that a lot. That effect pleases me very much. Ooh, yes. That's neat. That's really neat actually. Oh, I like that. I like that so much. It's screenshot time. So let's have something positive today. There we go. Because that's a cool effect. I like it. I should probably actually GIF that. Because this effect here. Ooh, look at that. Fade in and out. That's even better. Yeah. I like that. Very nice. Anyway, okay, sorry, I'm playing with my toy because it's not very usual that my toys work. So, look at all those trusses and everything. Yeah, it makes my details, the detail work I've done kind of pay off. So that's cool. Let's keep building. The other roof bits don't have this shader on them, so the other roof bits are just going to come in solid. Although they may try to do a fade out thing. I can't remember if I told them to fade out or not. Yeah, that lends a certain sense of immateriality and also strangely solidity at the same time. That's really fun. I like that. Okay, one problem that's been happening that I have to troubleshoot is this bit right here. Those little blue particle effects don't turn off after that bit's built. They turn off eventually. But it'll be after we've finished this area. See, so that area actually finished it, or that stage finished. You didn't know because we didn't get any kind of zooming back out deal. We should have some roofs here. Oh, yay, showstopper again. Okay. Great. Showstopper. Attach to process. Unity. Attach. Hit play once. Oh, we got a thread, we got a thread. We did. What is it? It's an audio one. It's my metronome. It's a while loop. Okay. Look at that. I'm really excited. Okay, it's in fixed update, which might explain why it's not working. And everything's starting to crash now too. That's exciting. So it is in my while loop there. Neat. I'm just gonna turn my metronome off. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know what let's look at my locals on this. That's exciting. Oh, it's so exciting. I don't know what's going on, but holy moly. Look at that. Despair to jubilation within 5 minutes. Yeah, let's kill Unity. I don't care. But that's really cool. So it is an infinite loop. It's sitting here in fixed update. While audio settings DSP time is greater than or equal to next time we run through our ticks counter. I don't know why I have to do it in a while. Wouldn't the logic also work if I just did it into an if? Every fixed update runs and it goes through and checks and it goes is the DSP time in audio settings greater than or equal to next time? If so, it runs Logic. I'm going to think about that for a little while. But it was in my audio stuff. Huh. Okay, well, at least there was a problem in the audio stuff. It jumped us to this. Oh, that's so cool. Hooray! I don't know what to do about this because I'm sure if and while are not the same thing. I'll think about that for a little while. But the best thing to do is I'll just save this change to Metronome. I'm going to hop back into Unity and then I'm just going to turn the metronome off. Because the metronome right now isn't doing anything because I don't have any music running. The metronome is basically for music. I was working on some music over the weekend, but it's not in the system. We're not going to see that probably for weeks yet. But when we start working with music, we'll stream it too. But that was pretty cool. It's pretty cool to come up with some problem, some kind of indication of a problem somewhere. In my utilities, in my metronome system. I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to turn off the whole game object. The whole thing is going to go, yeah, all this stuff is going to go away. We'll see what happens now. We shouldn't get any audio playing when we rebuild, but we may get some errors if all of this stuff's turned off. That'll be fun, though. We'll see if that works. You know, my whole point was to try to avoid tightly coupled systems, and now everything is tightly coupled. You meet your fate on the road you take to avoid it, huh? So that whole comment was meaning that by turning off the audio system, I'm going to crash the rebuilding system. Let's find out. Because this is where we should get some audio playing. I should get an error in the console if it's going to throw an error, but it's not. But that's good. At least we found something. Okay, for today, this is going to be the last time we play through this rebuilding. Strangely, the metronome, which is supposed to provide a regular rhythm and beat to the game, that may be why, I mean, that kind of makes sense as to why I haven't been encountering this show-stopping bug. Strangely. Like, it doesn't always occur at the same point. Okay. Boy, that would be cool. That would be so cool. Okay, I gotta change those things. Here it comes. Zip. And then bang. Here we are. Okay, you'll see. We won't be able to click, click. Click, click, click. Hey, that worked. I've got to figure out what's going on there. Well, if we encounter another showstopper along the way, we'll jump in and see if we can do the whole debugging thing again. It would be great if it did what it was supposed to do. I'm nervous about it because it didn't the first time. But maybe we were so deep into the loop, it was blocking something else deeper down in the system. Who knows? Somebody probably does. All right, my lovely, are you going to dither for me? Yeah, you're dithering over there in the corner. Oh, I wonder if my camera distance isn't set. I bet my camera distance isn't set right. Because I think I set my camera distance during gameplay, so it may not have saved those changes. Let's go for a Gothic tower arch this time, or chancel arch this time. Let's make the archaeology of this building crazy. Why not? Okay, to me this is telling all sorts of weird stories. Like there was a rich merchant who passed away, and he had a chantry chapel built, and it happened right here. His altar was right here under this window, and he wanted a window with his 3 favorite devotional saints or images in here, and there's probably a little picture of him somewhere down here, and maybe his whole family in this whole stained glass window. And that's why you get a 15th century window stuck between 2 13th century windows. So a 15th century window and a 13th century wall. That's the story that's happening when I did that. Pardon me again. And also, this is the same thing that's going on here too. We get some rich merchant who's built his own, because it's going to be a man, isn't it? I know, some women were wealthy merchants who built chantries too, but yeah, he built this whole thing right here as his own, although it makes no sense to have this 15th century window and this 13th century window in that part. Ooh, and that was a mistake. Now we have a big honking block there. What we have here, look, we're going to do this 13th century East End, 15th century windows, because again, somebody paid, probably the parish priest, paid to have some big windows put in that cast some light on the altar. Look at that, we got all the way through the system without any problem. I don't know where my roofs went. Oh my goodness, I don't think I said I would travel, but this is new. Okay. Okay, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but something fun. So we have now traveled back to the Iron Age, and we also have the parish church overlaying the Iron Age, and there's our sacred well. The tower is floating in the air right now because that bit of landscape wasn't built up yet. These bushes are acting funny. We have no idea what happened, but that's cool. It was kind of a neat bug. Yeah, that's neat. I like this hut and this right over the high altar. Okay, that's a screenshot. There we go. That's weird. Okay, but entertaining. That's pretty exciting. I don't know how that happened. The main thing is that we didn't run into a showstopper. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it also might mean quite a lot. And no errors in the console. Everybody's happy, happy, happy. So that's where I'm going to end it today, because I think we got through a lot, and I'm pretty positive. There's bugs and problems all over the place. It's mostly logic and timing. But anyway, I really like that dither effect on the roof. That was pretty cool. So, good. We did a lot. So tomorrow I'm actually going to be working on the Cathedral Builder game, so you won't see any progress on this on Wednesday. And depending on how much work the Cathedral Builder game needs, we may jump over to that on Wednesday as well, or instead of this. We might give this a rest this week, because I really need to I need to get a tutorial video on the Cathedral Builder game finished. Hopefully I'll do that tomorrow, but if I don't get to it, or if I run into some big showstoppers on that, then we'll be back into that. So this may be the last you see of this project for a few days. If it is, at least we left it on a high note. If it isn't, we might see that one on Wednesday, but regardless, I'll see you on Wednesday, or whenever you want to watch this. But until then, enjoy your week.